everybody. This is the Game Ready podcast with Coach Ernest Allen. And could you pronounce your last name? I don't want to butcher it.
Jeannette Kohlhaas.
Jeannette Kohlhaas. Jeannette is a PGA Tour pro, LPGA Tour pro, and this show is going to be about her experience as a college athlete and her experience as a professional athlete and the transitions within her experiences as an athlete. Going forward, we're just going to cover a few questions, and then Jeannette is going to she's going to actually go dive into what she's doing on a little bit more detailed basis as we go along. How's everything going today?
Great. Yeah, I'm in Charleston, South Carolina. The weather's a little cloudy, but it's nice.
Yeah. I've never been to Charleston, but I've heard nothing but good things.
Well, I'm a golf professional, so as long as I can play golf the majority of the year, I'm doing good.
Oh yeah, that's like a really, really popular place for golf. We're going to dive in right now. So, looking back at your college athletic career, what were some of the most defining moments, both highs and lows, that shaped not only you as a person, well, as an athlete, but as a person?
That's a really good question, and like you say, it starts early because I was wanting as an athlete. I was an athlete all my life. I had two older brothers, 3 years older and 3 years younger, and I'm 66 right now. Mm-hmm. And so I was really the biggest athlete in the family, but I grew up as a tomboy. So I was on the swim team, the bowling team, the tennis team, the golf team. And then eventually the coaches all said, she's missing my practices. so they made me choose. So I chose tennis and golf. Mm-hmm. And then I was trying to get onto the boys golf team because back in 1976, we did not have girls golf teams. And that was a challenge in itself because they didn't even call me during the Christmas break to qualify. So when I came back to school in January, they'd already picked the team and my dad went through the roof. I mean, he was so upset. Mm-hmm. So I ended up getting on the team, and in qualifying and playing, I would qualify as number 1 and number 2 player, which means I would be in the last group, which is what every athlete wants. Mm-hmm. But the coach kept putting me in the 5th group. And I finally said, why am I always playing at the end? I mean, he says, well, because our number 1 or 2 player can't play as well when they play with you because you're a girl. And I'm like, well, put him in the back. So, I had to overcome that, being an only girl and being pretty good and, trying to beat the boys. So, and then when I decided I wanted to go to college, I chose Arizona State and I walked on the team. I didn't get a scholarship the first year, but I was playing as one of the traveling members. And then my second year, the coach was recruiting other players to come in and I wasn't getting a scholarship. So my dad and I talked, and I'm either going to transfer to another school where I know I could play in a traveling team, or I could ask. So I asked the coach, why don't I have a scholarship? Well, why would she give me one when I was already there, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So I ended up getting a scholarship, so I stayed. And what that taught me is, you don't get what you don't ask for.
Exactly.
I mean, so it's really important to toot your own horn sometimes, be nice about it, but toot your own horn because you get what you ask for and you go for it. So
that's the God honest truth. Yeah, I agree with that. So was that like a high or a low or like a mixture of the both of the two?
Yeah, a mixture of the both. And then also when I was trying to get that scholarship at my club at home, I asked a real influential person to write me a recommendation for a scholarship. Mm-hmm. And he actually said, well, I really can't do that because letter of recommendations are for when you think somebody's going to be a success.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, I went home crying. And then my dad he just taught me to turn it around. I'm going to show him. So then I got that scholarship, and boy, down the road, I really showed him.
That's huge. That's huge. So how do you believe those experiences prepared you for life after your sport?
Well, it's to me, I've always been a positive motivational thinker. Mindset was always super important to me. And so since I was probably 14, I was reading all the motivational books. Mm-hmm. And I don't know life any other way. I mean, I've always seen the glass as half full. And if not, I find a way to make it full. So to me, that's really the do or die in sports and in life and in business. Is it's never going to always be peachy perfect. So you have to
Yeah,
find a way and find the positive in it. You never lose. You just keep learning.
exactly.
So you can always find good things about it. And when things go bad, you get stronger, and then you'll be more successful down the road.
Yeah, I agree. Those lessons are extremely important, and one of the main focus of these podcasts that we're doing. Um, so the transition from being a college athlete to life beyond sports is a major shift. So it means extremely major shift. You go from a schedule and a planned out day, a planned out season, and then even the off season, your off season is planned. Everything's planned out for you. What was the biggest challenge that you faced in that transition, whether it be your identity, career, uh, fitness, or mental health? How did that transition from playing golf, even professionally after college, and now you're a
Right.
golf coach? What do you how did that trend? What was the biggest challenges
Well,
that you?
for me, number one, golf is a individual sport. So I still played on the golf team in college. And
Mm-hmm.
so still we traveled as a team. The coach made all the arrangements and did all that. So when I graduated and went individually and played professionally, oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, I had to organize everything. I had to find my flights and my, travel and, do the laundry and play your game and, get all that stuff. So that you have to have the maturity to do that. And
Mm-hmm.
I always have told people, they play 1 or 2 years in college and think they want to go pro. And I'm like, it's not about being good enough. It's about living enough life lessons that you can be mature enough to do the
Yes.
professional work when you're out on your own.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like throwing you into the ocean as a little fish. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then, like you said, when you are playing professionally, you have a goal every week, every tournament you're going to, it keeps going. And then when you leave sports, it's like, now what do I do?
Yeah.
And especially for a woman, I think back, I played from 1980 to 89.
Mm-hmm.
And as a woman, I met my husband, and we've been married 40 years now. But I
Congratulations.
wanted to have a family. And back then, having a family, I saw so many marriages breaking up because the woman is away and the husband's home alone. And I didn't want that. So we ended up having a child. I stayed home, and yeah, I missed it. I
Mm-hmm.
think once you're a competitive athlete, you have that competitiveness in you, and you always want to be. You always are competitive.
Exactly.
Um, so yeah, I stayed away from the game for a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but I also feel like God blessed me with being able to teach, and so not every good player is a good teacher, and not
Mm-hmm.
every good teacher is a player. So I
Mm-hmm.
feel blessed that I was able to work into the teaching mode, helping people
Yeah,
with their golf game
that is huge.
and coaching, like you say, because motivational mindset coaching is so important,
Mm-hmm.
and it goes beyond just the sports; it goes to life and business.
Exactly. And so basically, the transition was what sounds like it was pretty smooth. Would you say it was pretty smooth in regards to how you approached your identity and how you actually found a career outside of playing competitively?
I think for me it kind of was because I always knew my dad always mentioned to me and that golf is a game you play. It's not the person you are.
Mm-hmm.
It's what you do. It's not who
Yeah.
you are,
Mm-hmm.
and that's really hard because even in golf or any sport, look at the Super Bowl. That team lost. One team lost. One team won. So
Every
those
day.
players are like, oh, the world's coming to an end. And when I had a bad score, I came to an end. Oh my gosh, I played terrible. But it's
Mm-hmm.
not. You just have to pick yourself up, learn from it, and move on.
Mm-hmm.
You're still a beautiful human being, and God intended you to be who you are, and you have so much to offer other people.
Mm-hmm.
Just need to work on your game.
And that's a big part. And usually athletes don't figure that out until the body starts to actually kind of decline, and you figure out that it's not the end of the world. A loss is a loss. A loss is a lesson. It's not the end of the world. It's a way to learn how to improve. Um, how did you transition? How did the transition affect your fitness and your mental health aspects of who you are?
But being a little older, back in the 80s and stuff, we didn't have the training van that came to our golf tournaments like they do now. So the world has changed so much now for the athletes. Even college. I mean, in college we didn't even have our own golf course. I mean, and now most colleges have their own huge golf facility, and they have millions of dollars worth of tools and things to help the players play better and putt better.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you and I are in the ice age back back then doing our sport.
Mm-hmm.
But when I traveled for golf, I mean, it was hard because you're in airports all the time, traveling and driving, and from home to home. I stayed in private housing, which was really
Mm-hmm.
wonderful. I'm a people person. I love staying with people.
Mm-hmm.
But other players that stayed in hotels, it's so hard to eat healthy when you have to eat out all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I honestly felt like I'm 66 years old now. I feel like the last 6 years my health has gotten the best it's ever been.
Sweet.
I finally learned how to eat healthier, and I didn't know for all those years I didn't know how to eat healthy, but I'm now a clean eater, and I'm very careful what I put in my body.
Mm-hmm.
And I really work on a lot of vegetables and low carbs and clean protein and the good fats. And
Mm-hmm.
honestly, I didn't even know much about how it all broke down for your lifestyle.
Yeah.
And what a blessing that's been, because I just feel so good.
Yeah.
And I tell people you get used to doing what you've always done because you've always done it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And yet when somebody teaches and shows you something else to do, you got to learn, and you got to open yourself up and learn, because we all know we have to put gas in the gas tank of our car. If you put milk in it, it doesn't run.
It'll ruin it.
It'll ruin it. So it's the same thing with our body. If you put sugar in it and you put alcohol in it,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to ruin it. It just doesn't run effectively.
Yes.
And I'm fortunate. I've never drank. I've never been a alcohol drinker. So the people that do, I mean, that goes straight to sugar in our body, and
Mm-hmm.
it accumulates as visceral fat
Yes.
surrounding our organs, and it's so dangerous. It's so
Mm-hmm.
bad.
Yeah.
And you like I say, you wouldn't be putting milk in your car, and you only have one body. You can always buy another car, but you can't buy another body.
Exactly. And the what I'm gathering is actually participating in sports as over the last 20 years has actually encouraged you to actually look at your nutrition in a more detailed way, because you wanted to continue to coach and you want to continue to play the sport that you love, which I consider golf is like a forever sport.
Mm-hmm.
You can play it forever, and it's a sport that actually will tell you how you where your body is at different stages of your life. It
Yeah,
will actually tell you.
absolutely.
Yeah, which you can't do that with most sports, because most sports are really really high impact, and it's after at a certain point you expose yourself to too much injury, playing such high volume of like basketball, a lot of jumping sports, high impact sports. Golf is golf is an impact sport, but it's controlled. So
Yeah, there's a
I
lot of twisting and turning, and a lot of you know
a lot of heavy rotation.
impact going through the wrist into the shoulders and the knees and the whole works.
Mhm. It's an explosive sport. I'm learning that as I learn more about the sport, um, which is cool. So how was your mental health? Was your mental health affected in any way in this transition?
No, I feel like I handled it fairly well. I mean, I really I enjoy my life, and that's something. Being just a positive person, I always learned to live my life by design. I had goals, and
Good.
when you're on a team and you're actively involved in your sport, the team has goals, you have goals, and so you're always reaching to strive for those goals. And then what happens is we get out of our sport and you forget to have more goals. So
Mm-hmm.
having a vision board over here and a poster board, and having your goals written down, and having affirmations on your mirror when you're brushing your teeth in the morning, I
Mm-hmm.
think it's so important.
It's huge. It's
And
huge.
and I honestly think every athlete, I Googled it just before we got on, not Googled, I guess, Chat GPT.
Yeah.
But it says 3 to 5% of the people in the North America are in sports leagues. That's
Really?
only 3 to 5%. And it
Yeah.
said less than 0.01% turn professional.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So one of my things that I always said is, and that's a question you're going to ask later, is like, what would you look back on?
Mm-hmm.
I wish I had paid attention more about enjoying the roses as I was going along,
Very true.
because you're so ingrained in moving towards your goal and work and business and practice and practice and practice and win. And all the cities that I traveled to in golf, I never got to enjoy any of the cities. I never got to go around and see anything. It was just always work, golf,
Yeah.
golf, golf.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it kind of, it isolates you.
Right. And so when I look back, I sit there and go, I wish I had gone over and learn more about the different places I was at. And now I could say I was a world traveler and enjoyed the journey, because honestly, when you're playing, I don't know about you, you're so about this and you're upset that you didn't do this and you wanted to do better. But then when you look back, you think, wow, I accomplished that compared to the percentage of the people.
Exactly. Yeah. And that was one of the main ideas behind this podcast, is to get the stories from ex-professional and college athletes, so those stories continue to live, and those lessons that created those stories continue to live, and you can actually, they stay alive.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a huge part. How did you navigate it, and what advice would you give other athletes going through the same process, from that transition from playing your sport in college especially, and to going into normal life? What advice would you give them?
Well, when you're in sports and you have a coach and you have a team or another coach, they're instilling all the positive beliefs and how we want to be successful and what we're doing and all that. And when you leave, you don't have that anymore. So that's where I go back again, how important the mental mindset is, because you have to believe in yourself and know that you can do whatever you put your mind out to. Because especially as an athlete, saying we're 0.01% of the world, we have so much more to offer in any business that we go into. Especially if we're so competitive. I always, in my company, I always try to win the prizes. I always try to be the better one and be in the top.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the way I'm born, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to believe in yourself, because you did when you were playing, and now when you're not playing, you still have to believe in yourself. And I like to tell people, if you can't believe in yourself, then you need to believe in the person that believes in you.
Very true.
And when you're playing, that's your coach. And when you're not playing, that could be an accountability partner. It could be a friend. It could be a coworker. It could be your parents still. Could be your kids, that believe in mom and dad, want to do better. So
very true. Very true.
And that's a lot of reasons why we do things. A lot of times we do them to help other people. Like, I'm going to do this to show my child that I can do this.
Oh, yeah.
Well, why don't we do this so I can do this? I mean, so, yeah.
And it has a little bit more meaning, and it's more long lasting when it's based in that aspect of you pursuing this because you want to do it. And I think it's a lot more richer. Training and physical performance were a major part of your life as an athlete. How have your training habits evolved since leaving college and professional your college and professional sport?
Well, I've always been active. And I've loved being active. And then being a golfer, having a child, so I have a 35-year-old now, and you go back to, I got away from golf for a while, and I started teaching and doing a lot of that. And then when I started playing again, as you get older, everything goes a little shorter. It doesn't go as hard. I mean, you're getting older. You don't twist as much. You don't have the same flexibility. But I am very fortunate. 6 years ago, I found a medical device that I started using. And man, all it does, you lay on it for 8 minutes, and all you do, it increases your blood circulation. And so I'm not a doctor, but little did I know, when you increase circulation in your body, microcirculation, your whole body performs better. I mean, God intended our body to heal itself holistically if given the right environment. And after 6 years of using this product every day for 8 minutes in the morning and 8 minutes at night, I am more flexible than I've ever been. I have more endurance. I mean, I could bang balls forever now, and I don't get tired anymore. And I can hike up hills with carrying my own golf bag, and I'm 66 years old.
That's huge.
I'm feeling better now than when I was 35 years old. So it's more fun now to go back out and play, and knowing that you can play as good as you did 20 years ago, probably even better, because I can squat down and read my putts, and I can actually get back up now.
Yeah, which is huge. And that's a physical skill that people take for granted. It
Yeah.
is that's a huge, huge benefit to be able to squat and hold yourself and then get back out, get out of the squat. So you attribute a combination of changing lifestyle and your nutrition along with the beamer, or would you associate the use of the beamer that added to your changing lifestyle and your nutrition?
Yeah, that's a great question because it really is a combination of both.
Okay.
Actually, when I found the Beamer therapy, um, I started feeling so much better. My joint body aches were gone and diminished, and I had more energy and slept better. And then about 8 months later, my
Mm-hmm.
mentor says, "We get you healthy now and start teaching you how
Mm-hmm.
to eat right." And I'm like, "I eat well." And no, I didn't. So when I learned, man, then I started losing more weight doing that and getting in better shape because the Beamer helps blood circulation. So whatever you put in, it helps circulate further in your body. So whether
Mm-hmm.
you're putting good supplements in your body or good food
Yeah.
in your body, it just helps
Yeah.
your whole body work better.
Exactly. Nutrition is the building blocks of everything that we do.
Yeah, and one of my sayings I hear all the time is you can't out exercise a bad diet.
Not in any day of the week. I'm telling you, I can attest to that personally too. So, so you still train like an athlete, or what adjustments have you made to maintain your health outside of using coming up with the use of the beamer?
I do. I go to the gym. I have a weight trainer, and I
Hmm.
do travel a lot. So he tries to give me exercises to do with the bands and everything when I'm traveling and not in a gym. And
Hmm.
then when I'm home in the summertime, I'm practicing ready for tournaments, and I go out. I live right on a golf course, so I call the shop, ask if I can go play, and I just walk out my backyard. I carry my golf bag,
Hmm.
and I walk 9 and 18 holes, and I'm just constantly staying in shape doing that.
That's excellent. That is excellent. Um, you developed a pretty good sense of discipline. It sounds like. Um, and it sounds like you have a team of people that you work with, and and that has built some resilience, as you move forward out, past college. How have you applied those skills in your post athletic career, whether it be in business coaching, which you do, and leadership, or personal growth? You can cover like two of those, and we can keep it simple.
So um, I just go back to when we played. Everybody always wants to win or wants to be at the top, but not everybody
Mhm.
can always do that. And
Yeah.
so it's a mindset, even while you're playing, to know
Hmm.
it's not the end all get all because it's really who the person you become in the process of doing what you're doing.
Hmm.
And I would like to relate a story that my son a couple of years ago fell in love with a sport and wanted to go towards the archery. Archery is a professional Olympian,
Hmm.
and so little do we know how good he kind of was at it. So he started training for that, and he got better and better and better. And yet they only take 3 people for the Olympics for that sport.
Hmm.
And for 2 years he trained. He went to tournaments and went to competitions, and he was getting better and better and better and better. And he did very well. But all along, that was the goal, to win and to go to the Olympics. But
Hmm.
only 3 people were going to make it. So I had to keep instilling in him that it's the person that you become in the process of going for that goal. So
Exactly.
that it wouldn't let him down at the end when he didn't make it. And
Hmm.
honestly, so many people looked up to him for how much he practiced and the dedication he had and the dedication and going for it and living your dream.
Hmm.
And you can share that with people years from now and years from now and years from now. So I, like any athlete that used to be a professional athlete or a college athlete, don't give up what you did because you can share that with so many other people and give them hope and let them know that they, just because maybe you're not doing the sport professionally, you can still install the hope in others and let others know that they can be the best they can be.
I agree totally, and that's the foundation of this podcast, is to give the future athlete, even non-athlete, the idea that there is always a way to improve, and you just have to have develop some resilience, and sometimes that's going through some tough stuff, some tough situations. But those tough situations, that's where you learn the lessons to be better today than you were yesterday. Not to be corny, but
Yeah.
this is being honest with you. You're on a constant, regardless of how you feel, and then people kind of feel in a way, whatever. You are always in a constant flux of improvement. If you're not, that's when depression sets in. That's when things go sideways, and you start to lose confidence, and that's a major issue. I know even in my life, that's happened to me. So those lessons that you learned, I believe they will help a lot of people. And just you saying that, it carries a lot of weight.
And
Here's a whole
it's not just you that went through it. Everybody goes through it.
yeah,
And so the problem is when we go through that obstacle, you think you're the only one that's ever been through that. And then
mm-hmm.
you start feeling sorry for yourself. And that's when you feel like I'm strong, I don't need any help. But honestly, you don't necessarily maybe need help, but you need support, and you need to
Yeah,
be hanging around some good people, because the saying, you become like the 5 people you hang around most.
very
And so,
true, very true. So can you share any moments in your professional career where your athletic mindset, where you developed that discipline and focus of your competitiveness, where it gave you an edge?
well, there's one story came out at a tournament once that I was playing, and I was on the 15th, 16th, 14th, 15th hole,
Oh
and I
wow.
had a wedge to the green, and I chunked the shot, so I ended up on the front of the green. And then I
Mm-hmm.
had a simple little bump and run shot to the pin, and I chunked that, and then I three putted. I was so mad. Oh my god, I was so mad. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I wrote my score on my personal scorecard with the tip of the pencil, I was going to write a 4-letter word, but instead, very heavily, I wrote patience.
Very
And
good.
I actually broke the tip of the pencil because I wrote it so hard, patience, and I was so much wanting to write that 4-letter word on top there.
Exactly.
And the other two players went up on the next hole, par 3, and they hit, and then I went up my 5-iron and I made a hole in one.
Oh wow.
And I just thought, that could have been a deciding factor. If I had written those 4-letter words and mentally just sort of gotten so mad at myself, who knows? So I made a hole in one with the 5-iron, and then the next hole I was up first to tee
Mm-hmm.
off,
Mm-hmm.
hit a good shot down the fairway, and
Mm-hmm.
now I had my 5-iron again to go to an elevated green where we
Mm-hmm.
couldn't see the green, the hole itself.
Oh yeah.
And when I hit it, obviously I just hit that 5-iron, and so now I hit that shot, and the gallery went crazy. They were screaming and yelling, and it turns out when I got up there, my ball went right up to the hole and went right around the hole, and I was an inch from the hole, so it like lipped the hole from the 5-iron.
Yes. Oh yeah. Oh
So it's just, I learned very early then that it's all attitude to how you look at things. And
very true.
people say, oh, well, you're just so lucky. No, I make my own luck, and law of
Mm-hmm.
attraction, and energy
Yeah.
equals energy, and
Yes.
energetic people gravitate towards me because
Exactly.
you give out what you get what you give out, and all that good stuff. So,
Exactly. So can you name a particular incident in your professional life that you applied that lesson to?
well, I never give up, and like I mentioned, I always try to go for contests and always try to
Mm-hmm.
earn a contest when the company's giving away something. And I've recently earned 2 free trips with my company, and one of them I earned very easily. The other one I was behind, and I was almost ready to give up, going, I'm behind. I'm not going to be able to reach the quota and make the trip. And 2
Mm-hmm.
of my friends said, "Oh, come on, Jeannette, the trip wouldn't be the same without you. You've got to make it. You have to make it." So there instilled some confidence in me that I said, all right, well, then I'll try. And I did, and I made it. So
That's
here I am, the most positive person. But at one point, I was ready to give up. Nah, I'm not going to make it. But
mhm.
sometimes you need that outside influence to really keep you going.
That's a good support system. Um, if you had to go back and give advice to your younger self, excuse me, the version of you that was training and competing and striving to succeed in college athletics, what would you say? What advice would you give your younger self with the lessons that you've learned so far?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, I would just say to enjoy who you are, what you're becoming while you're going where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then, here I have a sheet here. I wanted to share you a little quote that I read
Okay,
that
good.
I think is kind of cute. It says, "Ask what you want, take what you get, and use what you get to get what you want."
That's sweet.
And that's really cool because, you always want this, but then you're only given this, but they'll take that and then get what you
Yes.
want. And so there's always, where there's a will, there's a way. And as
Mm-hmm.
an athlete, we've learned so many times, you've got to learn to go over, beyond, around, through,
Mm-hmm.
and just keep going.
Oh
Because when you
yes.
don't keep going and you standing still,
Mm-hmm.
you're actually going backwards because other people are moving forward.
Oh, big time, big time. So I mean, you can if you can send me that quote, I'd appreciate it because that's something that I would love to have up in my office because everybody needs a little inspiration. That's a great quote. Um, what lessons do you wish you understood earlier about sports and success and life after athletics? What lessons would you wish you have understood earlier?
Hmm. Well, there's always hindsight.
Oh
Wishing I had done this or had done that,
yeah.
and
Mhm.
wish I had said this or done said that and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So you can't beat yourself up.
There it is.
We all want to do things perfectly, and you have to be. You have a goal, and everybody has a goal. You're shooting for the moon, and you might land upon the stars.
Mm-hmm.
And just because you don't reach the goal doesn't mean you failed. It just means that the goal never really changes. The
Mm-hmm.
timeline might change,
Mm-hmm.
and might need to learn a few more things, or might need to practice a little better to
Mm-hmm.
get to where you want to go. So
Very true.
don't beat yourself up, and know that there's a plan A, have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C.
Mm-hmm.
If you put all your baskets into plan A and it doesn't work, you're gonna be frustrated the rest of your life because
Big time.
unfortunately life doesn't always happen how we try to plan it out.
Exactly. And
So
and that's one of the cool things that we all learn from sports when we participate in some sort of physical activity, regardless of it's a team sport or an individual sport. You learn that resilience and you learn how to deal with tough stuff. And those lessons can be applied throughout your whole life. That's why I love talking to former and current college athletes and professional athletes because those lessons are all we're still learning, but we understand processes to get to a certain result.
well, and that's what you're doing in this podcast is so amazing because we all kind of go through the same thing, but everybody can say something a little different. And if people listening to this hear one little thing that helps them, that makes the world. I mean, so
Okay.
everybody talks and teaches in different pictures and in different ways. And when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And that's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's very true. I mean, we've covered everything. Jeanette, did you want to mention anything else and go into more detail about what you're doing currently?
Um, well, I did the product I use. If anybody happens to be interested, I think you'll put a link at the bottom. But the website is
Hmm.
movefreewithme.com/advantage. Every
Hmm.
athlete wants an advantage.
Yes,
So I always thought my little website was cool because when you get more flexible, you can move free with me. Dot
big time.
com forward slash advantage.
That is sweet. There's a lot of great information on there, along with links to have access to the Beamer system, and hopefully you guys get a chance to visit the website. It will be in the show notes, and we'll move forward from there.
And if
Uh,
anybody wants to chat with me or send me an email, my email is movefreewithme@gmail. I'd be glad to help any athletes or people up and coming just to give them some motivation. It's always,
yeah.
when as we know as coaches, when we motivate someone else, it motivates me too. So
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
absolutely.
Coaches learn more than the actual players and
Right.
students. I believe that every day of the week, especially the longer you coach. Well, this has been a Game Ready podcast. Jeannette, thank you for joining me. Everything will be linked in the show notes. Check out her website. Make sure that you actually pay attention to everything that pretty much we tried to say. Hopefully, we share some great information with you guys. And We'll talk to you guys soon. Take care and
Bye,
make
everybody. Have
somebody
a great
smile.
day.
Thank you. Take care and make
Thank
somebody
you.
smile today. All right. We're going to end. There we go.